What's up? It's Alexander Madison, running back from the Minnesota Vikings, and you're watching Clock Management.
Knocked down. Oh, he caught it! Oh, unbelievable! This is amazing. So you played in the NFL. What's longer, a half or 5/8? Or 5/8 is a little longer there, Joe.
Your team is now on the clock.
Welcome, everybody. It is March 12th, 2020. I'm Justin, and as always, I'm joined by Perry.
Justin, I'd say God bless you, but it looks like he already did.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. God. So before we get into everything, Perry, let's cover what we're going to cover.
Yeah. What are we going to cover? So obviously a lot of news going on. I think we'll chat about that a little bit with the NBA and all the other sports canceling things on how that may affect the NFL. But so we'll talk about that a little bit in the news. There's actually some relevant free agency news that came out as well. So we'll talk about some of that. And then today's episode is the way too early sleepers episode.
Yes.
I think I've got a few good ones, Justin. I don't know how you feel about it. It's kind of hard, actually.
I mean, I feel
to
like
decide.
I got some really good ones.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna want to do another one of these sleeper episodes after free agency because
Absolutely.
a lot of things are gonna shift and adjust. But it was kind of fun looking at some of these players and then imagining where they might end up, or where some of their teammates might end up and how it may affect their ceiling, I guess. So
yeah, some of these guys may come completely off my list after free agency or not.
Right.
So
right.
we'll continue to rise. But first, make sure you guys subscribe to us on YouTube. You can also catch us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and basically everywhere else where there are podcasts.
Yes, and please leave a comment on this episode, our last episode, our next episode, and the episode after that, so you can be entered to win a signed Ricky Williams jersey. Every time you comment on an episode, one time per episode, you are entered to win. So you could be entered up to, 4 times?
Yeah, I think
Pretty
it's
cool.
actually 5 this month.
I think so. Yeah, it's 5 this month. So
Yeah.
you'd have 5 entries to win a signed Ricky Williams jersey, courtesy of Clock Management.
Absolutely. And we also have social media. It is out there on all social media platforms that I'm aware of. If there are any that
LinkedIn.
you want to find me on, good one, Perry. Then let me know, and we will now be on LinkedIn. So if you guys do any sort of social mediaing and you want me in that social mediaing,
Cross-eyed.
just let me know which one and we'll get on there so we can social media together.
Wow, that sounded romantic. I'm on board. And then if you would like to support us in more than you guys already do by just watching, which we really appreciate, there's merch. There'll be a link below to a website where you can pick up some merch straight from Clock Management. It's got some awesome artwork on it, and the proceeds come directly to us so we can make the show better for you guys.
And if you use promo code CLOCK, you get 10% off.
Wow, that sounds like a great deal.
Absolutely. Gets rid of that tax for you.
All right. Well, let's jump into this, man. Let's not beat around the bush anymore. I'm ready to go.
Oh, shoot. We're jumping the shark today, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. On water skis. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, I'm super excited.
So, clearly with the coronavirus, COVID-19, there's a lot of sporting news going on right now. NBA officially has suspended their season indefinitely. There are a lot of timetables being thrown around by that. I know that this is a football show, but the reason this is important is because it could start to affect the football season as we look into how far the NBA is considering pushing this. I've heard dates as far as August as a possible time when they might try and bring it back to finish up the season. we all clearly, if it goes that far, it's going to affect the NFL season in some way, whether that be through training camp, preseason, or even in the regular season. So clearly a lot we don't know about this. I'm not a doctor. Justin's not a doctor. Trust me.
What? This is breaking news to me.
So I just, just stay tuned. We're going to continue on as business as usual. And just expect that football will be played next fall and we can enjoy some fantasy football. But keep in mind, hopefully everything works out. Hope everybody stays safe. So the NFL did announce that there are no plans to move back the start date of the league. That just basically there is a date that the league officially starts for the year, and that's where free agency starts to kick in. So free agency shouldn't be affected really in any way, which makes sense. All these meetings can be done over the phone, via Skype, just like Justin and I right now. So that should all play out just fine. We'll know where players are landing. It's whether or not they're going to be playing that we'll have to pay attention to.
I think this is really tragic for the XFL because it's like they were doing good with their ticket sales, everything else. And I mean, you have to expect that this is going to end the XFL season.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was thinking about this all day about all these, poor players and coaches and, people that put forth so much work for all these people to get to where they are. Everybody has a story though. And it's really the right thing to do. Like with the NCAA, March Madness is canceled. It will not be happening, which is crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Like you never think like, what? Like, wait, what? So, it sucks. All those kids have worked their tails off to get to where they are. And some of them, this is the only time they would have ever, they have never played in the tournament before. And now they're never going to get to.
Yeah, I know. I was talking about this with people at work with the NBA, if they have to cancel the whole season, it's like the way contracts are built, teams like they make runs at championships and it's going to mess a lot of that up. But at the end of the day, it's like people's lives are at risk where people could actually die. So, it sucks. And yeah, everyone realizes that this sucks. But I mean, like you said, it's the right thing to do because it's going to save lives at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hope it doesn't affect the NFL season. That would be a real big bummer if the season gets shortened or something like that. But we're a long way off. We'll know long in advance if something like that's going to happen. But I mean, I'm just following like the rules of washing my hands regularly, and if I do start to feel sick at all, I'm just going to stay home, and that's the best thing to do. Don't spread is the goal. So we've got more news, though, some more actual NFL football player news. So first piece of news here is that Dion Lewis, running back for the Titans, or formerly the running back for the Titans, has been released by the Titans. This is going to save $4 million on their cap. I fully expected this to happen as they're trying frantically to sign Derrick Henry, and I think they want to keep Ryan Tannehill or possibly pick up Tom Brady, although there's just speculation there.
Yeah, either way with those, they're going to need more money.
Right. They're going to need a lot more money. I think Tannehill will be much cheaper. I'm starting to think that they're probably just going to push for keeping Tannehill because then they'll be able to offer more money to Derrick Henry, which, paying a running back a bunch of money is a whole nother problem, but that's what they want to do. So Dion Lewis is now going to be an unrestricted free agent. He's still a talented player. I think he'll get picked up somewhere. Depending on where he lands, he'll probably have a little bit of fantasy relevance. We'll cover that as soon as he does get picked up. I don't want to speculate too much on that one right now. Carlos Hyde, running back for the Texans, has declined a contract offer. He had his first 1,000-yard season last season, and he wants more money than they were willing to give him.
Do you know what the contract details were on it at all?
I don't.
Yeah, I wonder how much it was because, gut feeling is I'm like, oh, God, you should have taken that just because I think that's a good situation for him. So I just wonder what the money was.
Yeah, I think it was a really good situation for him. And, I think Carlos Hyde is just trying to get his bag, dude. He's trying to get paid.
It worked well for Melvin Gordon.
No kidding. Well, I mean, that was a little different. Melvin Gordon held out on a current
Yeah.
contract. Carlos Hyde will get signed somewhere.
Oh, I know, but
he's
Melvin
clearly,
Gordon may
yeah.
end up coming in and taking that spot now.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I would love that. I would love that.
That was
And we'll talk about
my dream landing spot for him. So
well, yeah, we'll talk about Melvin Gordon in a little bit, but Carlos Hyde will land somewhere for sure. He's still a talented running back. He'll have no problem finding a home, and then once he does, we'll kind of assess his fantasy value. I still think that he'll be drafted in most leagues, no matter where he lands.
oh yeah,
So
especially
unless it's maybe New England,
12-man, yeah, or San Francisco.
yeah, oof, oof.
Yeah.
Tom Brady. Some Tom Brady news here. The Buccaneers are expected to go all in for Tom Brady. I think I called this one a couple of weeks ago that this would be a great landing spot for him. Bruce Arians has worked with quarterbacks such as Andrew Luck, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Carson Palmer. So he's a wonderful he has a wonderful track record of great quarterbacks, and I think Tom Brady would really work well with Bruce Arians. There's also an incredible pass catching core there with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. Who's the tight end there, Justin?
I don't think they have one.
OJ Howard. OJ Howard is talented. I don't care what anybody says, including myself.
Oh,
the guy
he is
talented.
one of the most athletic people on that field. He just needs to get surgery to get human hands put on his body.
He might be the most athletic tight end in football. And I'm like not trying to make a joke there. He's incredibly athletic. So, if he were to able to kind of get his ish together, having Tom Brady throwing the ball, that could be really good. OJ Howard could be considered a sleeper if that were to happen. But I don't know if I want to fall down that rabbit hole again with him. But it'd be cool to see it work out. If Tom Brady were to land there, he would move up my rankings quite a bit. I don't know if he would crack the top 10. I think he'd probably be around like 12 to 14-ish. But I think that he would have a much better year than last year with just the weapons that he would have at his disposal. So that would be a fun landing spot for him. He also would not have to go through Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson to get back to the Super Bowl, who are both in the AFC.
I think he would be in my top 10 if he landed there. He'd be right on the verge at least,
Yeah, like I said, 12 to 14, probably closer to 12 for me. It just, it's the style of offense that they play. The quarterback will get hit. That's just how Bruce Arians has always played, and he's always had big quarterbacks that can kind of take a hit, really. Ben Roethlisberger, Carson Palmer, Andrew Luck.
Winston.
Didn't really, Winston. It didn't really work out for Andrew Luck, but Tom Brady is very good at getting rid of the ball quickly. That's like how he's made his money, man. It's like in and out of his hand, and it could work out really well. And everybody that's saying Tom Brady's done, they could be changing their tune by week 8 if Tom Brady's
they've
just
talked about
them.
bringing in some top end running backs there too,
or drafting one.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I think that helps as well. They could have a legit team next year.
They could. I don't know if they have the defense to win a championship, but they will certainly have the offense.
They got the sack king there from last year.
That's true. That could be fun. That could be a huge turnaround. I guess it would be interesting to see what their record would have been without 30 turnovers from their quarterback.
Right.
It's almost he's over 2 a game.
Yeah.
Or just about 2 a game, or just under 2 a game, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's too many. And Tom Brady has shown that he doesn't really turn the ball over. Like in his old age, yes, his numbers have declined, but his turnovers have been really good. So, he's not going to turn it over double-digit times, that's for sure. He might only throw 6 or 7 interceptions. And could you imagine what that team would have done with, what would that be, like 15 more possessions? It could be interesting. So anyways,
I got blocked by someone on Twitter today that said that them and
I saw
Jameis
that.
Winston would be the
Yeah.
last ones planting their flag on Jameis Winston Island. I'm like, oh, how tragic, because he'll never even see you there.
Ugh. All right. Some interesting news here. Austin Eckler has officially agreed to a 4-year contract with the Chargers. It's $24.5 million contract for Austin Eckler. There's $15 million guaranteed. He's only 24 years old. I thought Austin Eckler was older. Isn't that?
No.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
This is great for Austin Eckler. It's not so great for Justin Jackson, who is actually one of my sleepers today, and it's actually your sleeper. It's the one guy that we both agreed on. I guess we're going to see how this plays out. Is Austin Eckler going to be that third down guy, or is he going to be the guy?
You mean Austin Eckler or Justin Jackson?
Austin Eckler.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Is Austin Eckler going to be the guy? Is he going to be the first and second down running back?
Yeah. I do think that is probably the case.
Yeah, it probably is. I agree. This team, it's really weird with Phillip Rivers gone. He's been there for so long. It's really hard to know what to expect, especially because we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be. So I don't know. Austin Eckler, is there any way he puts up the numbers that he was putting up before Melvin Gordon came back last season?
I mean, sure, if like Tom Brady comes there, or someone, depending on who comes in there. But like you said, it's hard to say until we know who's receiving that snap.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara, who a lot of people referred to him as a gigantic bust last season. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far. He was still serviceable, still startable every single week. I started him every single week in our league.
I wouldn't even call him a bust, really.
I think it was a disappointment.
Yeah.
He had a disappointing season, but he was still serviceable.
In emojis, he was a sad face, but not a crying face.
Very well said. Very well said. He tweeted out that he was playing, one of his legs was at 75% all season last season. So he also added that he is now currently back to 100%. So it's interesting to think, we might, if this is true, right? If it's true, and I'm going to assume it is because what other information do I have? We could be seeing Alvin Kamara returning to form. We could have Alvin Kamara that was arguably the best running back in football.
I'm not going to assume it's true.
Why not? It's all the information we have.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, Jameis Winston also threw 30 interceptions because he needed eye surgery.
No, that's not what he said. We made that joke.
I know, but why else did he get eye surgery? Like, you hear this from players all the time. Every player had an injury during the season.
He doesn't want to wear contacts.
Every player talks about how they had to have some sort of surgery after a season or procedure. I
agree with you. The Jameis Winston comparison is terrible, though.
Oh, yeah.
He just doesn't want to wear contacts anymore. We made the joke about the interceptions along with everybody else in the world.
Well, and I've heard a bunch of analysts talking about how now he's not going to throw as many interceptions. That's ridiculous.
I think that if he stays in Tampa, he will. But if he goes and plays for more conservative,
a different system,
offensive
obviously,
coordinator,
but that has nothing to do with his eyesight.
No, it doesn't. But I think Alvin Kamara, it makes sense. It makes sense. It actually makes sense. Right?
Sure, it does, and that could be the case. Or he could have another leg injury as soon as he gets hit in the leg when he runs the ball in an NFL game, and he's at 75% again.
Well, that's true for every player.
Absolutely,
that's true for any player.
Yes, that's why I'm not reading too much into it.
I think Alvin Kamara is ranked too low currently.
What is he, RB4?
I think he's 6.
Okay, yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, I think he should be ahead of Derrick Henry. And then I think maybe Dalvin Cook should still be ahead of him, but only by a little bit. Dalvin Cook is like glass as well. We've learned that. So
yeah, I think I'd probably have Kamara at RB5. ahead of Henry, right behind Cook, and I wouldn't disagree with anyone who put him above Cook.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if he continues to fall. Like Joe Mixon is getting so much hype, and I brought up on when we were a guest on the Good Old Boys podcast that Joe Mixon could very well be a bust.
I'm fine with Joe Mixon this year, but I don't think I wouldn't, if he rises any further than he does, I am not fine with him.
I mean, he's creeping up right now in Aaron Jones, and then it's Alvin Kamara, and it's anyways, we could talk about
that'll be another show.
Yeah. So anyways, Alvin Kamara, 75% last season according to him. He is currently back to 100% also according to him. So that's all the news.
Ooh. Well, we got some news no one cares about. Rob Gronkowski close to signing a new contract with the WWE.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna start watching the WWE again.
I know.
Just for Rob.
Someone was they're like, didn't he lose a bunch of weight after he got out of the NFL? And I was like, absolutely, but steroids could fix that.
Oh god.
It is WWE, and I mean they're a horrible organization when it comes to taking care of their people. But I mean, it's entertaining. I will give them that.
I mean, you don't need to do steroids to do well in the WWE.
I know. That's why it blows my mind so much. You got like literal sumo wrestlers out there.
Mankind.
Yeah.
Dude, Mankind was the best.
Right?
Mr. Sacco.
You just have to have character, and Rob Gronkowski is not lacking in that department.
It's true.
So I think he's going to do great there. Oh, man. Rob Gronkowski and Ronda Rousey both in WWE. What a time.
It's a good, yeah. Well, 2020, man.
Next news no one cares about. Lamar Jackson burns random guy playing a pickup football game on the road. Video went viral. He was playing wide receiver. I was like, well, of course, it's a random guy. And
just a random dude, and it's the NFL MVP. Right. Like, look how good he is. He left that toddler in the dust.
So obviously Lamar Jackson, #1 pick in fantasy overall next year.
Yeah. That's like me grabbing something off the top shelf for like a little kid and then being like, look at how much taller he is. Yeah. That's how it works.
I'm gonna make a video like that for you, Perry.
Nice.
You and Thea. Nice. Okay. After throwing, this is the only XFL news I'm covering today. After throwing a punch and getting ejected from the game, DeMarcus Gates stops to sign autographs for fans. Oh man, I love it. This is the XFL to me.
I approve this message.
Oh man. And then going from bad to worse, Vontaze Burfict plans to change and continue NFL career in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, from bad to worse. Is
he going to stop aiming for heads and start aiming for knees instead?
And I mean, that would honestly be an improvement.
It would, but I mean, he's still trash.
Yeah, he's still a horrible individual.
Yeah. Not a fan. Not a fan of Vontaze Burfict.
Yeah, he will not ever be invited on this show.
Nope. Nope.
I don't care how small our show is.
We have an abundance of NFL players that want to be on this show, so no problem.
And way too much self-respect. And we don't have that much self-respect.
No, not really.
Way too much for him.
Self-deprecating humor is my favorite kind of humor.
But that's all the news no one cares about.
Nice. All right. Well, it's currently March 12th. I had to look at what date it was.
I announced it at the beginning of the show.
I must have missed that.
And I actually got it right today.
It was just a long day at work, you know. It's just I'm dragging right now, ready for bed. ready for some Z's. Gonna read my book and fall asleep. You read the Darth Bane trilogy, Justin?
So I read the first one and part of the third one.
Wow, that's cool. It's kind of weird.
I know.
Very good though. It's taken me a long time to get through it though, because I lay down, because my new job, it's like so physical. I like lay down and I read like 6 pages and I'm asleep instantly. So I read 6 pages at a time and I keep rechecking it out at the library. So anyways, let's move on. This is not why we why we showed up here to talk
But
this.
speaking of Perry being exhausted and passing out, we have sleepers.
Oh, nice. Really good segue. That was a really good segue. Yes, it is way too early sleepers. We will be doing more episodes like this in the future, so stay tuned. Most of these are probably going to change. So I'll start.
All right, hit that alarm clock and wake them up, Perry.
All right. It is Melvin Gordon. Now, this one's kind of, I get it. Melvin Gordon, a sleeper, not exactly fair. He's currently ranked 11th, but I feel like that ranking is going to start dropping quite a bit for Melvin Gordon. He will not be a Charger next year. I'm willing to put money down that he will not be a Charger next year, especially because they went and gave Austin Eckler that deal. But I do think there are a lot of really good situations that Melvin Gordon could land in. I understand they didn't have a fantastic season last season, but he did okay, considering that he came back to a team that didn't really need or want him all that much, to be completely honest with you. So Melvin Gordon, still fairly young. He is only 26 years old. He's got at least 2 to 3 good seasons left in him. When you think about average running backs, right? That 29-year-old mark is where they tend to start to go downhill. So Melvin Gordon lands somewhere like the Texans. I think Melvin Gordon could be a top 10 running back again. I don't think that's crazy to think. There's, last season was a weird season, and if that's how we're going to judge Melvin Gordon's future going forward, that would be really irresponsible. I think we need to look at his body of work and what he's given us consistently when he's played a full season on a team that actually wanted him. He's been very, very good. So if Melvin Gordon lands somewhere where they'll really use him, Kansas City comes to mind, the Texans comes to mind, possibly Tampa Bay. I would really have Melvin Gordon ranked quite high. So maybe he's not quite a sleeper, but I think a lot of people are kind of sleeping on him right now, which is why I wanted to include him in this list.
Yeah, I just really hope he prioritizes landing spot over the amount of money he's getting paid, which I think he learned his lesson. So I do think he will.
I agree with you. I think that Melvin Gordon's going to be happy for a good job, and not necessarily a bucket of money, but maybe that's wishful thinking. I don't know. But
all right, I'm diving a little bit deeper here, Perry, on my first one. I'm also sticking with the running back here. I'm going with Darrell Henderson. He's currently running back for the Rams, currently running back 48 in consensus rankings. Overall pick 146, which means undrafted. And so I think that we may have been a year too early with Darrell Henderson. Everyone was talking about him last year. He didn't have a good year. They also brought in Brown last year, they kept Brown there basically. Yeah. And Brown did not live up to their expectations. He had less yards per carry than both Henderson and Gurley, who both had the exact same amount of yards per carry. And then Henderson got injured towards the end of the year. So he didn't have a spectacular year or anything anyone's looking at all, which I think is why he's so low. But that's fine. I want him to be low so I could get him for free at the end of my draft. And as I said before, I'm planting my flag on this Todd Gurley bust island. So if I'm doing that and the next guy in line is Darrell Henderson, who was drafted third last year, third round pick, then they obviously think that this guy is the future of their team. So I think they're going to let Malcolm Brown leave their team this year and put Darrell Henderson in that RB2 spot there behind Gurley, and you're going to see a significant increase in his carries this year.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think there will be a significant increase in carries. I'm a little worried by what we saw last year, and I know, it's a rookie season. He might take a little bit longer to adjust, but running backs tend to adjust pretty quickly to the NFL scheme, and there's just the fact that there were games where he had 4 carries for 4 yards. That kind of scares me. 2 carries for 7 yards. A lot of 0 carries for 0 yards in games that he was active. So
yeah,
I'm a little worried about Darrell Henderson, but I do think that your line of thinking and that Malcolm Brown will leave and Darrell Henderson will move up to that RB2 spot makes total sense. And if he can be effective, early on, he will earn more and more work as Todd Gurley gets less and less work. So that whole line of thinking makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and it
just makes me nervous.
Yeah,
but
there's obviously risk.
Drafting him super late.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's obviously risk here, but looking down at those guys in this bottom range, this is one of those guys where the risk could be worth it with a player like this.
Yeah, hopefully that offense returns to what we kind of expected it to be. There's so much talent on that team, and yet
no production last year.
Yeah, it was a little weird. So. Yeah, I mean, drafting him, towards the end of your draft, 14th, 15th round, you're not really losing anything anyways, right? If it comes out that they go pick up somebody after you've already drafted or whatever it may be, or he gets injured, you just drop him and it's no big deal. So, but if he does work out, it's awesome.
Yeah, you just cashed in on him. So
yeah. Okay, the next one, Justin, is one that you and I both picked. Now that I've picked him and then we've gone over the news, he's kind of maybe not working out quite as much, but that's okay. We're going to talk about him.
I'm still in on him. You're
still in on him? Okay, that's great. You can tell me why. But that's Justin Jackson, running back for the Chargers. Justin Jackson, I've liked Justin Jackson for quite a while now. I really thought that he was going to be more involved last season than he actually was. I think Austin Eckler just took the job and ran with it, no pun intended. But Justin Jackson last season finished with 29 total carries, 200 yards, but he missed, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. So, he missed a ton of time with injury. It's kind of the same thing that we were just talking about with Darrell Henderson is how I felt. Now that Austin Eckler has that job, Austin Eckler's not a 3-down back, right? He's not the bell cow running back. So somebody else is going to have to get some of that work there, and Justin Jackson has shown flashes. So, I would kind of do the same thing with him that I would do that you were saying with Henderson, is just pick him up really late, and you could have, a diamond in the rough there.
Yeah, so he's actually ranked behind Darrell Henderson. Overall, pick 160, so even further back. I think that's undraftable in a 14-man league. So I expected Austin Eckler to come back or to get this contract and be there. He was a restricted free agent, so he was. I mean, I think we all expected them to keep him there. And with Melvin Gordon looking like he's out the door for sure, this is the best possible scenario to me for Justin Jackson. If they don't bring in a quarterback, which I do expect them to bring in a quarterback, but let's say they decide to roll with Tyrod Taylor, this is even better for him because Justin Jackson, he wasn't efficient with his runs. He wasn't getting a lot of yards, similar to Darrell Henderson. And when you get those mobile quarterbacks, you watch those efficiencies rise in those scenarios. And Tyrod Taylor is a mobile quarterback, so I would expect that. And a little faster paced offense, which may cause Austin Eckler to have to, take a couple snaps off the field more often than than what we're used to seeing. And I think they may run some 2 running back sets there as well with the both of them on the field. And he's a great pass catcher as well. So I would love to. I think this is a dream scenario for Justin Jackson, and he's definitely outperforming this value.
I agree. I think he's definitely outperforming the value. I think the question is he going to perform enough to start in fantasy?
That's the key question. And the thing with a person like Justin Jackson is if you have Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson is a must-have for you.
Yeah, probably. He's definitely up there in the handcuff department for sure. I like Justin Jackson. There's just a lot of questions on this team, mainly quarterback, right?
Yeah,
so
there's really one question.
There's one big question on this team, and that's quarterback. And Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, we're still waiting to see.
Yeah, there's nothing official yet with that, but like I said, if I'm willing to bet that Melvin Gordon will not be around next year, not on the Chargers. Okay, Justin, you want me to go next or you? I mean, we did that one together. I don't know.
It's awkward. I'll go next. I'm going tight end, Perry. With Jonnu Smith. He's currently tight end 17. Mm-hmm. So outside top 10 or 12, which means, basically not on a team. He's the tight end for the Tennessee Titans. And Tennessee Titans also have a tight end there named Delanie Walker, who I believe is the only player older than Frank Gore in the NFL.
He's not that old. Delanie Walker is not that old.
No, but he is close. I believe he's actually 2 years younger than Frank Gore. But both of them are very old. That's the point. And so I think you're going to start seeing Jonnu Smith, who is a very fast tight end and a pass-catching tight end. I think this is the year you're going to see him become their number 1 tight end. Delanie Walker continues to get older and he looks slower on the field, and he just is not the same player he once was. And Jonnu Smith did look good towards the end of the last year, and he was averaging so he finished 8th at the end of the season, and he is averaging 9.8 yards per target, and 12.5 yards per reception. So he was doing great. He had a catch percent of 78%. That's very good. And I mean, who else are they going to throw the ball to after A.J. Brown? Corey Davis?
Yeah, of course. Corey Davis is breaking out this.
Yeah, and then Jonnu Smith can catch it after Corey Davis deflects it. Because he's not catching the ball. So especially if they keep Ryan Tannehill here, or bring in it, like if Tom Brady did land there, or another really good quarterback, which I don't expect. I expect Ryan Tannehill to be there. So I love that. I think that this is a great a tight end you could get late. And I actually think there's a few of these tight ends that are in this category.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll do my tight end next then. My tight end is TJ Hawkinson. Kind of,
the Hawk.
The Hawk, I know. TJ Hawkinson, the hype around this man after week 1 of 2019 was insane, where he had six receptions for 131 yards and a touchdown, and then didn't really do a whole lot for the remainder of the season, just kind of your average tight end numbers, basically. He did miss the last 4 games of the season, but he should be healthy and ready to return for the 2020 season. But the reason that I really am kind of looking at TJ Hawkinson right now as a very late round tight end, somebody I can grab if I don't hit on one of the other, top guys that I'm looking at, is because tight ends, they age really well in the NFL. Generally, their first season is not super great, right? It's one of the hardest positions to learn in the NFL, period. The pass blocking alone is incredibly difficult and incredibly complicated, and then to go out there and also be basically a really talented receiver while having so many other things to manage is really difficult for young tight ends in the NFL. So that being said, a full off season with the Lions now, getting a full season to kind of learn what he's doing, and probably getting Matthew Stafford back. We're assuming that Matthew Stafford will be there. If he's not, though, the quarterback situation will be infinitely better than it was last season, no matter who they bring in or if they keep Stafford. Stafford is going to pepper him with targets. I can feel it. I think, TJ Hawkinson could end up being like 1,000-yard receiver next season, maybe 4 to 5 touchdowns. You could be looking at a really serviceable tight end that you get for free, essentially. So, I like TJ Hawkinson a lot.
No, yeah, like I said, there's a bunch of them that I like that are outside the top 12.
Yeah.
And he's one of the other ones.
His ceiling just feels so high to me.
And I'm going to give an honorable mention to Noah Fant, too.
Yeah, Noah Fant for sure. I didn't want to play favorites with Denver, but Noah Fant, definitely. I feel like Noah Fant's probably getting a little more hype than TJ Hawkinson right now. And I don't know if Noah Fant's ceiling is quite as high as TJ Hawkinson, but...
Yeah, I agree with you on both accounts.
Perfect. All right. Who else you got?
I got a wide receiver right here.
Right here, right there?
Yeah, right here. He doesn't want to be on camera. He's shy. Not a typical wide receiver.
Is it Jerry Rice?
No, it's Hunter Renfro.
Oh, okay. That's not nearly as exciting.
Well, I mean, that's why he's a sleeper, though.
You pick me up to let me down, Justin, every time.
Well, he's also a Las Vegas Raider. I'm sure that's part of your letdown as well, as a Bronco fan.
Yeah.
But he's currently wide receiver 66, overall pick 174.
Who?
Yeah. Even Mike Jones. Even lower than everyone else on my list. Yeah. But the reason why I think he is complete, and as we said, I'll reevaluate this if after draft, after free agency, because there is a chance, I think a good chance, that the Las Vegas Raiders bring in another wide receiver.
And or quarterback.
Yeah, I'm okay depending on who the quarterback is, because there's a lot of talent out there. But Hunter Renfro ended up with 71 targets in 13 games this season. He was 49 receptions, 605 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And that's quite a bit of catches. That's where his value's coming from. It's not enough to put him at wide receiver 1 or anything like that, but he finished as the wide receiver 54. I do think he's going to go up from there because he had a pretty low catch percent. So I expect that to improve this year. Sorry, I keep coughing. But he ended up, his value ended up being more than Brandon Cooks, Juju Smith-Schuster, and that's only 2 I wrote down. Sorry, Brandon Cooks and Juju Smith-Schuster. Darren Waller and Tyrell Williams, the only 2 people with more catches than him. I expect some slight regression out of Darren Waller. So I am expecting Renfro to have some progression in that category and get a few more catches and targets this season. So, and plus he'll play, I do think he's going to play a full season. So I think that he's going to improve from where he was quite a bit, and he could end up being a solid flex play.
Nice. Yeah, I actually looked at putting Hunter Renfro on my list just based on the fact that the volume is going to be there. So, okay, I've got 2 wide receivers that I'm going to kind of cover together because they're on the same team. And that's James Washington and Deante Johnson, both wide receivers for the Pittsburgh Steelers, both coming into their second year in 2020, and probably both going to be later in drafts. I don't recommend getting both of them. I actually hate starting 2 wide receivers that are on the same team, but we can talk about that some other time. But basically, whoa, wow.
Basically. Okay.
Sounds like I'm from Barcelona. So basically, both of these rookie wide receivers in 2019 were able to have pretty productive seasons despite terrible quarterback play from Mason Rudolph and the Duck Man throwing them the ball. James Washington was able to finish with 735 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had 79 targets. He caught 44 of them. That's a pretty good season considering what Pittsburgh showed us last. I mean, that was a bad team with a real bad offense, and he was a rookie. And then Deante Johnson finished with 57 receptions. Let's see, he had 680 yards and 5 touchdowns on 92 targets. The one I like more actually is Deante Johnson, just because of those target numbers. The 92 targets. That's great, man. If we could get him up over 100 targets and he becomes that true number 2 there behind Juju Smith-Schuster, who I expect to have a big rebound this season, I think that could be great, right? Ben Roethlisberger will be back and healthy and ready to go, and he has always been able to provide us with at least 2 relevant fantasy wide receivers. So one of these 2 is going to emerge, and my money's on Deante Johnson, but I do still think James Washington is going to be pretty good too as a possible deep league flex play, or even a stream if you really had to. So I like both these guys in 2020.
Where's Deante Johnson going?
Deante Johnson is currently the consensus rank 48 wide receiver.
Oh, okay.
So he's pretty far down there.
Yeah.
Definitely going to be available.
Yeah, I like him more than
James Washington.
Yeah, value wise, but I'm not sure how I feel about these guys right now. I think I like them more than I like Juju Smith-Schuster at his draft value.
Yeah, Juju's going to be a little expensive, right? And there's risk with Juju. I do think that Juju's going to have a better year than he had last year.
I do.
Right. With Roethlisberger there, things will kind of be right again. But I don't know. It's a risk. That's the risk right there. Juju is the risk on this team. These 2 are not risky at all because you're investing very little into them, and that's why I like them so much.
Yeah. No, that's not bad. Yeah, I'm good with this.
Thank you. Thank you for your approval.
No problem.
Thanks, Dad.
I didn't know how I felt about it. I had to think about it because I'm not high on the Steelers organization lately. Running back, wide receiver, tight end, just in general, as high as I once was.
As you once were.
Yes.
Let's see. Where's Juju going?
He's actually gone lower than I thought. I just looked. He's the wide receiver.
He's 16 right now.
Yeah.
Juju's actually not too bad a value. And Juju wasn't terrible last season. He actually wasn't horrible. He just got injured.
Well,
right, and that kept him out. And basically the first half of the season he wasn't terrible. The first half of the season he was actually just fine. He was finding the end zone. He had 3 touchdowns in the first half of the season. He had 6 receptions, 5 receptions, 3, 7.
He was not where you drafted him to be, though.
No. He wasn't. But I also don't think he disappeared, right? We're not
No.
It's not like Juju is undraftable this season.
No.
He's going to be much, much better this season.
Yeah, he's currently a wide receiver, not a wide receiver, a 3rd round pick. See, this is the problem I have with him, though. The consensus rankings, the receiver above him and the player directly above him is A.J. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And I would way rather have A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I think I agree, but I also think that A.J. Brown isn't as safe as everybody is expecting him to be.
I agree with you. And also the wide receiver behind him is Cooper Kupp. I'd rather have him, but there are players on both sides of him as well that I would rather have Juju than. So
yeah, Cooper Kupp also disappeared last season.
Yeah, so. He did for parts of the season.
There's a lot of questions there. I mean, that 3rd pick it's going to be really, really weird, who falls to me, because
Yeah, it's an
if
interesting
it's those guys,
area.
I don't know if I'm taking one of them. I might just take a third running back or grab one of the top tight ends at that point. Because
yeah.
there's like really weird questions there, and it's like, I'd rather just wait for like DK in the next round.
I
But
can tell.
anyways.
Yeah, that's the back end of the third round. But there's a player that I don't think you take a wide receiver there, Perry, because I'm kind of surprised you didn't have this guy. Do you have another wide receiver, Perry?
No.
So Calvin Ridley.
He's not a sleeper.
I know, but he's going in the fourth round. I'm kind of surprised you weren't gonna talk about him.
I would definitely. I mean, would I take Juju or Calvin Ridley? I would take Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, because Calvin Ridley's ranked behind him. That's why. Round behind him.
Right, but I actually wanted to put Calvin Ridley on this list, but I was like, you can't call Calvin Ridley a sleeper. That's just stupid.
Well, depending on where you say he finishes. If people are saying he's a fourth round pick and you think he's going to be wide receiver.
I think he's top 15 wide receiver.
Yeah. So if you think he's going to be like produce at a second round, then I would call that a sleeper.
So. I would call that a value. I think that's good value. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah,
we can talk semantics some other time.
I go value 1 round. 2 rounds, you're a sleeper.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. 2 rounds or more.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I got one more guy here, Perry.
Yeah, hurry up, dude. I'm trying to be a sleeper myself.
Nice.
Nice.
I got the overall pick. I'm just going to keep going back in these rankings. Overall pick 186 here. Then that's quarterback number 27. That's Drew Locke.
Oh, my goodness. I like my sleeper way more.
So
my sleeper way more.
I think out of the receivers that are in from 15 or receivers, quarterbacks that are, I believe it was 15 and below I was looking at. I think Drew Locke has the best chance as finishing as a quarterback 1. I don't expect he's going to be the starter the entire season this season, which will be nice for him since he only started 5 games last year. He completed or he had 1,000 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. Those are really good stats for a 5-game stretch. He looked confident and competent for being a rookie quarterback behind that line, and he didn't get talked about much, which I believe is why he is where he is.
That's Denver, though. Denver doesn't get talked about very much.
Yeah. And then he's got Noah Fant, who we talked about as a possible sleeper for tight ends there coming into his second year. Who I love there, think he's going to get better this year. Another person I think is going to get better this year who broke out last year is Courtland Sutton. And I would love to see them add another wide receiver option there. And I do like their running back duo there. So that all helps for an experienced quarterback. And then they got Pat Shurmur there as the play caller, which I think is going to help him because he's a very experienced play caller there. So I think he has a great chance of someone you could get with your last pick or so, or second to last pick, that could finish as a QB1 just as likely as a lot of these guys. And it's just disrespectful to have him ranked behind Mitch Trubisky.
That is disrespectful. I agree with that. Thank you. No, I think things are certainly looking up in Denver. And I think Drew Locke is part of the reason that things are looking up in Denver. Denver's offense has been so anemic for so long now that I just have a lot of trouble putting faith in it. But all the signs point to it should be better this season. So, I guess, I could see that. But the guy I picked, I feel has a much, much higher ceiling. I think as pass catchers, apart from Courtland Sutton, I think Courtland Sutton is better than all the pass catchers on this team. But this team has many very good good pass catchers, whereas Courtland Sutton may be very good. So my guy is Daniel Jones on the Giants. I don't think the Giants are going to be very good this season. I don't. But Daniel Jones last season finished with 3,000 passing yards, 24 touchdowns. He also missed 3 games. So if we were to say that maybe he'd get around, let's say he gets 200 yards per game in those last 3 games, that puts him at 3,600 yards in his rookie season. And let's say he throws another 3 touchdowns, so 1 touchdown per game. So I don't think I'm being, overly generous right now. He's 27 touchdowns, 3,600 yards in his rookie season. That's pretty darn good. That would be one of the better rookie seasons we've ever seen from a rookie quarterback. So he had big flashes where he had 2 4-touchdown games, 1 5-touchdown game last season. He has great pass catchers in Darius Slayton. Is it Darius Layton?
Yeah.
Yeah, Darius Layton. He's got Golden Tate there, Sterling Shepard. And then there's one guy that I haven't even mentioned that catches the ball in the backfield a ton, and that's Saquon Barkley. And not to mention, Saquon Barkley's an incredible runner, so they're going to have to stack the box and worry about him a little bit as well.
And Ingram as well.
Yeah, he's got Evan Ingram. Like I said, I don't know if any of those pass catchers are as good as Courtland Sutton, but there's 3 3 number 2 wide receivers there essentially, right? That's a number 2. I mean number 2 as in number 2 on a team.
Yeah.
Courtland Sutton's a great number 1 receiver, but then the other options on that team just aren't as good as the other options are, all these options that are on the Giants. So that's why I like Daniel Jones more than Drew Locke, but I do like Drew Locke.
Strength by numbers.
So I just think that if Daniel Jones threw for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns this season, that wouldn't be crazy. He wasn't even that far off. If you project out his numbers, if he were to would have played all 16 games last season. So
the reason I agree with you with that stuff.
Sorry, one more thing. Drew Locke also week 1 got injured very early on and only had 3 completions for 17 yards. So if he's healthy for 16 games, these numbers look a whole lot better.
So the one thing I'm saying about that though is Daniel Jones, I agree with the quantity and quality of receivers there, or pass catchers, I should say. But the one thing I don't like about them is the change in coaching staff there. So I'm not sure if it'll be the same type of offense and the same. They'll produce the same. That's my scare there. That's why I went with the Drew Locke compared to Daniel Jones.
I think Drew Locke's floor is higher, where I think Daniel Jones' ceiling is much higher than Drew Locke's. I don't see Drew Locke having a 5-touchdown game.
I think that's doubtful.
And Daniel Jones also rushed 45 times for 279 yards.
Yeah, Drew Locke is not going to be doing that.
Yeah, so and he had 2 rushing touchdowns as well. So he had 26 touchdowns.
I wouldn't be shocked if Drew Locke finished with 2 rushing touchdowns or something, from the 1 or something like that.
Sure.
but he's not rushing for a lot of yardage, so I wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones is getting a lot of weird flack because he had the Danny Dimes nickname, which, whenever
does call on some flack.
Right. He asking for it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he also plays for the Giants, who are a joke, right? They were a joke of a team last season. They lost a ton of games. So I think that's part of the reason why he falls so low.
I think that they bring more of that on when they bring in Jason Garrett, who is a lot of people don't like him. A lot of people, he's the most recent person people love to make fun of. You know what I mean? And I don't think he's as bad as what people are making him out to be. I don't like him, but I don't think he's as bad as what people are making him out to be.
And his track record at quarterback is really good. Now, whether that's he got lucky with Tony Romo and Dak Prescott, or he was able to use them effectively, we don't know that yet.
100%, I will say he got lucky with Tony Romo because Tony Romo existed before him. So, he didn't create Tony Romo.
But I know, but he was able to use Tony Romo effectively.
Yeah.
And Tony Romo, there was a lot of jokes about Tony Romo because he couldn't win playoff games, but he's a good quarterback. He was a
Absolutely.
good fantasy quarterback too. So, and then Dak Prescott, we love Dak Prescott. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of upside for Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is going to probably, crack the top 10 of quarterback this season. We wouldn't be surprised if he stays healthy, if he's a top 10 quarterback.
No, and quarterback is the greatest. Like, I love this position because you can get so much value late in the draft at quarterback. There's going to be quarterbacks, many of them, who are projected in the top 10 who do not finish in the top 10, right. Which means many of them projected outside the top 10 are going to finish in the top 10. It's kind of how that works. So that I love that position because you're going to find that value super late there.
Yep. Yeah, it's a fun position to research for, especially for you and I. We have a very similar philosophy on quarterback, that we just don't go quarterback early, and we love finding that value late in the draft. And I have a lot of fun with that because, like you said, it's deep. It's a deep position. Lamar Jackson, okay, was the outlier. But if you go the number 2 quarterback versus, say, the number 15 quarterback from last season, there isn't that big of a difference.
Yeah, not compared when you look at other positions, especially. Right.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that a bunch this offseason, go into why you should wait on quarterbacks. But yeah, that's it. That's it, guys. Those are our way too early sleepers. We'll do some more episodes after free agency regarding some sleepers and that sort of thing. But yeah, hope that's helpful. Make sure you guys comment on the video.
Next week we'll be covering are we doing free agency or draft picks next year? Or next week.
Next year, Justin?
Yeah.
You want me to start planning for next year too?
Yeah. Can you do that?
No. No, I can't. So we are going to do some pre-NFL draft stuff next week. For the next couple weeks, probably talking some rookies, maybe breaking that down by position, and we might be able to try and get a guest on here. Samuel Wallace, new father, Samuel, and a expert in all things rookies. So hopefully we'll try and get him on.
He specializes in dynasty football, so obviously rookies a huge part of that. So
yeah, super smart guy, super well informed. So hopefully we can get him on. But being a new dad, he might be a little busy, so we'll have to try and talk him into it.
Yeah, and this is the end of our Way Too Sleepers episode. So now, Perry, it's not that late, and now you can become a way too early sleeper. So
peace out.